academic, and spiritual growth through opportunities and services. They'll receive a $200 gift certificate, good at Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs, for being our WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month. Nominate a business you'd like featured by emailing us at WHOW@randyradio.com.
Congratulations to this local business for all they do for the community. And don't forget, for envelopes, wedding invitations, signs, banner wraps, and more, go to LincolnPrintersInc.com.
From the Hart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good afternoon, and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. DeWitt County has utilized the same X-ray machine to ensure safety within the county building for almost 30 years. At last week's DeWitt County Public Safety Committee meeting, Sheriff Mike Walker broke the news that the X-ray machine has sat in the county building's lobby since 1997 has given out and needs to be replaced.
Well, I got a message on New Year's Eve morning that our X-ray machine was given an error, not working. So my chief deputy called the 800 number on there, and they informed us that that X-ray machine is no good. It has been in service since 1997 and they stopped supporting it in 2011. So we've been living on borrowed time with it. The company that does this one no longer does X-ray machines because that was our first option to say, hey, can you send us a quote? And it was almost an automatic response. We no longer deal with that. So.
The sheriff received a quote on a new machine that he feels could be a useful tool in keeping those within the county building safe. He says it will cost roughly $34,000 and will take 3 to 4 months to be shipped at the earliest.
So I got a quote from DV Linev Systems for a new X-ray machine would be $34,700. The issue that we have with that, though, since it's over $30,000, we may have to bid it out. I don't know. I haven't talked to the state's attorney to see, since it is a security issue, if we can consider that an emergency and go ahead and move forward. They do offer, but to where you can bypass the bid process. So I don't know if those are things that we could join and then do that, or how that might work. I just now got the quotes back and talking to this gentleman here this week. This new machine would offer things that the current one doesn't, obviously, because it is newer. It has an AI portion to it where if a weapon goes through, it lights, it actually puts a box around it, draws their attention to it. So I don't think another option that it has, I don't think our metal detector is new enough to do it, but in the future, if our metal detector would go out, it also can link into that to where if somebody goes through the metal detector and the metal detector goes off, on the same screen as the X-ray machine, it would show what part of the body that the person has the metal on. So that's just something to look for in the future. But since we do have a Garrett machine, I will ask him if that's part of it. Even if we would decide, I'm not going to have enough information to make it for the full board to make a decision next week. The delivery date, we're looking at 3 to 4 months out.
Without a working X-ray machine, county building security personnel are forced to hand search bags and purses, which puts them at risk of accidental exposure to harmful substances. It also slows down the flow of traffic into the building. So
right now, when somebody comes in with a purse or a coat or anything, instead of running it through the X-ray machine, the court security front desk people are having to actually physically search that. So it gives an opportunity to either miss something. It gives an opportunity to where if it's somebody coming to court that might have some illegal drugs, exposing them to, a drug or something like that. So it's not a good situation. We're making sure that our Narcan supply up there is is up to date and ready to go just in case one of our court security people would get into something and goes down. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but you never know. With the number of people we have coming through here and the society we live in today, we got a jury trial coming up here in a few weeks. We're going to have an unusual amount of people coming in. It's going to bog down things. Everybody having to open your bag, let me look type thing. I mean, obviously we won't get it in by then, but that's just an example of things we deal with that for me, I consider it an emergency. I think it's an emergency to keep our employees safe. That's where we are with that. So.
The committee decided they would move the decision onto the full board meeting agenda for this week, with the understanding that Sheriff Walker may not have all the necessary information to decide at that time. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, University of Illinois Extension Commercial Ag Educator highlighting upcoming Agronomy Summit. The DARE program is one of the most recognizable pieces of curriculum that Clinton students go through when they reach 5th grade. The program begins this week at Clinton Elementary School, and Chief Ben Lowers says he and his school resource officer, Cody Mayer, look forward to it each year.
Looking forward to that, as we always do. Officer Mayer in the school doing a fantastic job, taking over for Officer Bennett a couple years ago, and that program has enhanced so much over the years with the different programs that Officer Bennett introduced to the system, and Cody Mayer taking over. Can't say enough good about that, and kudos to our guys our staff that have done that, and the partnership that we have with the school to be able to do so. But yep, the DARE program coming up began in I believe, I may be corrected on this, but I believe the DARE program was introduced to the Clinton School District in 1992 by now Sheriff Mike Walker. He introduced the program. I believe that was under maybe Sheriff Gib Burke at the time when they brought it to the Clinton School District. He was joined then, I believe, the next year or two when Chief Mike Reedy came to Clinton. He joined them, and I believe they co-taught it for the first 8 years or so. And then, Chief Reedy really became the face of the DARE program through the late 90s, 2000s, until his retirement in 2013. And I can tell you, very, very passionate about the program, very passionate about all programs dealing with children. Chief Reedy was dubbed the children's chief out in Maine before he came to Clinton, and rightfully so. The DARE program, I remember, Chief Reedy wouldn't share it with anybody during his tenure, but I do know that as he kind of prepared me to take over his role as he retired, he had told me at one time that I promise you'll get 10 times more out of being a DARE officer than you'll ever put into it. And while it's a lot of work and a lot of focus during that time, he's absolutely right. The opportunity to have become a DARE officer was great. Love to work with the kids. It's worked out real well. Officer Bennett and I kind of team taught it, and now Officer Mayer and I are kind of team teaching it as well. And
according to Chief Lowers, the DARE curriculum has been modified in recent years to better address the challenges of youth in 2026. Bullying, online communication, and other challenges for kids today are addressed in DARE more than addressing drugs, tobacco, and alcohol.
It's a 10-week curriculum. We'll actually spend 12 to 14 weeks with different activities that we do, and a field trip or two along the way, and a couple extra lessons that we offer. But, the DARE program is a 10-week curriculum. It's not the DARE program of the 80s and 90s. It's no longer the Nancy Reagan Say No to Drugs. The DARE program was revamped in 2015, actually just as I was becoming a DARE officer, to address some of the issues, to update and modernize the issues that kids today are facing. Quite frankly, the kids of 2026 aren't facing the same issues that the kids of 1984 were addressing. And so, we address things like, obviously bullying is a big aspect of that, but we do talk about in the 10-week curriculum, there's only one lesson that addresses alcohol and tobacco specifically, and drugs. But, we talk about confident communication. We talk about making good decisions and how to make good decisions. There's a decision-making model that we share with them.
In some places, DARE is being replaced or even eliminated, but Chief Lowers continues to believe in its effectiveness and feels it is a benefit to kids of the community.
And while the DARE program over the course of the last couple decades has obtained some nationwide scrutiny, I know some programs have eliminated their DARE program. we continue to foster it. I'm passionate about it. Not only do I think that it provides good lessons, but you know what? It provides a positive interaction between our local law enforcement community and the youth of our community.
Right.
And I can't tell you what that has done over the decades that it's been offered here. But what I have seen in the last decade, this will be my 11th year as a DARE officer. I believe it's Officer Mayor's third. But the fruits of that labor, when you see people out in the community, now my first DARE class are now adults. And so, I can run into someone in the grocery store, Chief Flowers, I had you in DARE, And so, when I took over as chief 12 years ago, law enforcement was kind of taking a beating on a national scale due to a couple events that had occurred and just kind of an overall shift in the climate to law enforcement. And, as part of our strategic plan, which I hope we'll talk about sometime here soon, I know you guys were talking about that the other day with the mayor and city administrator. 12 years ago when I took over, one of the focuses in our strategic plan internally within the department was to foster a positive outlook on law enforcement and to start that with the younger generation. Now, knowing then, would I ever see the fruits of that labor during my career? I'm not sure. I am. To enhance that school program, to enhance the DARE program, we added programs at both the junior high and high school level. As I tell them all the time, there's a great big ocean out there. We're just responsible for this small puddle. And through programs like the DARE program, our awareness program, our driver's ed program, now he just introduced this year, the Aware with Mayor at the junior high age, constantly interacting with those kids and providing a positive encounter between our local law enforcement and the youth of our community, I hope will be investing in the future and that relationship that we have with our community moving forward.
Chief Lowers continues to praise Officer Mayor, who took over for the retired Mike Bennett a few years ago, for his work in the schools and the relationships he is building with the youth of the community. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
Happy New Year from all of us here at Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. Most of our customers trade for a different SUV or truck because their needs change each year. That's good because we have transportation options for you. Plus, we need your trade. Our selection of top quality, pre-owned trades come from you. Come see our ever-changing Chevrolet and Buick inventory today. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
News time is 22 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Producers across the state will want to get registered for another year of Ag Summit programs hosted by the University of Illinois Extension. Commercial Ag Educator at the Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties, Reagan Tibbs, indicates there will be a series of these programs at different locations in Illinois, so producers can get the great information from these events.
For mine in Springfield, it's February 17th, but there's a series of them across the state this year. Last year, we had about 3 or 4 of those events in different parts of the state. This year, we've expanded it to about 6. So we're really excited to have those opportunities to provide that to provide that research and information from our experts from campus and others in the ag industry directly to local producers. So yeah, we're really excited to keep up our winter programming and keep up that information to producers. Each one's a little different. So all of us that are hosts, we all get to kind of pick our own topics based on our conversations with our local stakeholders, local producers, things we've been seeing in the area. So mine, I think some of us do have some similar speakers across all of them, but most of us do have kind of our own different speakers and different agendas for the day. So, but again, it's all about having that information that's important to those local producers, those local stakeholders. Yeah, so February 17th at our Sangamon County Extension office there in Springfield, right out by the airport. You can't miss it as you're coming in. Starts at 9 o'clock, but we're going to have some coffee and some donuts about 8:30 in the morning. So happy to have that. Registration is $20, but that includes coffee, donuts, and will include lunch. And registration, you can find the event webpage at our website, extension.illinois.edu/LMS.
Many producers will know some of the presenting speakers, including Dennis Bowman on technology on the farm, Dr. Aaron Hager on crop science, and many others. Tibbs says it's going to be a full day of good information.
Yeah, so we got a lot of things going on at the Agronomy Summit. So kind of starting off, first off, we're going to have Dennis Bowman, who's our digital ag specialist with University of Illinois Extension. He's going to talk about some of the recent advances in technology and how the data and the information that's gathered by these technologies can be used for producers on their operations. Then we have Dr. Aaron Hager, who's our weed specialist over on campus. He's going to talk about some research he's doing with water hemp and its resistance to a couple of Group 15 herbicides. Really excited to have him come over. We have Dr. John Jones, who's an agronomist over at the University of Illinois. He's going to talk about our research we have going on up at Hartsburg, some other agronomic topics as well that he's working on. Then we got Dr. Nick Sider, who is one of our entomologists over on campus. He's going to talk about some insect management practices for 2026 for corn and soybeans. Then we kind of wrap up the day with myself, talk about ag policy, always a fun topic that I'm going to insert. And then a new addition, actually, Hunter Buchanan, who's in our office. He's our local food specialist in our office, working with Sangamon County on their farm to fork initiatives. He's going to provide an update on the work he's doing in Sangamon County, all the projects he is working on his plate, and then where he plans to go for 2026 and beyond.
Again, put February 17th on your calendars for the Agronomy Summit at the University of Illinois Extension office in Springfield. Get more information at extension.illinois.edu/LMS. County fair business is the topic of conversation in Springfield last weekend. The Illinois Association of Agricultural Fairs hosted its 115th annual meeting. The outgoing president of the group is David Hake from the Washington County Fair in Nashville.
And I mean, the key to keeping your fair successful anymore is to get the community involved. And one thing that'll help with that, and we found out, a sponsorship program. You go to your businesses and get a sponsorship for your fair. Well, it's a lot easier. We give them like free tickets to the grandstand or the concert and different things. So we give them a percentage back of what they give us. So they're just not handing you a blank check. And the other thing that we've figured out is when you have sponsors coming in and they're seeing something, they like to see something a little new, painted, fixed up every year. That way they feel like they're more of a part of it. Well, that $1,000, they probably use it to remodel a bathroom or something. And you've got to get your community involved. And that's the biggest part. They always said one person can't raise a child. It takes a village. And a fair, you could say, is a child, and it takes a village to keep it going.
The incoming president is Gary Malke from Stephenson County. Do you get scared or nervous when severe weather is in the forecast? The National Weather Service in Central Illinois office in Lincoln is hosting a storm anxiety webinar this week, says meteorologist Ed Shimon.
Got our local expert, Rebecca Koppel, putting on this webinar, and there's also going to be Commander Cammie Cooper from the NOAA Corps, who's our mental health and awareness lead, and it's going to be a really insightful webinar for those that have any fear of weather, not just hazardous storms and lightning. In some cases, it can be strong, just winds from a very windy day, but it's going to cover the bases from all sorts of types of weather that might impact your anxiety levels, and then how to deal with that with help from Commander Cammie Cooper, who's trained in that area of dealing with anxieties, and then provide some resources for anybody that wants to be on this, and give them some tools that we have online and available through Commander Cami Cooper. So people can go away from this feeling better about how to approach their anxieties dealing with weather.
The webinar is on Wednesday, January 21st at 6 p.m. To register, visit weather.gov/ILX. Now for your local obituaries. Mark E. McGlasson, 76, of Clinton, passed away at 12:05 p.m. January 5th at his home in Clinton. Private burial will be at a later date. The family entrusted Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton with cremation rights. Memorials in Mark's name may be directed to your local animal shelter. Online condolences may be made at calvertmemorial.com. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Louisiana Republican Congressman Mike Johnson has made history, becoming the first U.S. House Speaker to address the British Parliament. His speech comes as the U.S. prepares to celebrate its 250th anniversary. President Trump is preparing to head to Davos, Switzerland later today for the World Economic Forum. The Greenland controversy expected to place high on the agenda. The president threatens to tariff any NATO nation that fights his proposed U.S. takeover of Greenland. At least 100 vehicles involved in a pileup on a snowy Michigan interstate. Icy Arctic air is barreling south with more snow, and certainly the lake effect variety expected to continue this week across the Great Lakes. The Indiana Hoosiers have won their first national college football title, beating Miami 27-21, capping an undefeated season. More details, srnnews.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-936-5496.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-936-5496.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. The Maroa-Forsyth Trojans were held to just 6 points in the first and fourth quarters and fell to the normal U-High Pioneers by a final score of 63-36 in non-conference boys basketball action on Monday night at Bloomington Central Catholic. The Pioneers took the lead early, making the score 13-6 by the end of the first quarter. They grew the margin of their victory the most in the fourth quarter when they outscored the Trojans 15-6. Kobe Lane led all scorers with 19 points for Maroa-Forsyth, 12 of which came from distance. Cabron Lee and Kenny Morris each had 5. Devin Fitzgerald led the Pioneers with 18 points. Owen Kirby added 16 points. With the loss, Maroa-Forsyth falls to 11-5, while normal U-High improves to 16-4. The Trojans will play host to Pleasant Plains on Friday. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. Spencer Knight made 32 saves. Jason Dickinson scored, and the Chicago Blackhawks beat Jonathan Toews and the Winnipeg Jets 2-0 on Monday night. Connor Bedard added an empty net goal as the Blackhawks stopped a 3-game slide. It was Bedard's first goal since returning from a right shoulder injury. Knight recorded his third shutout this season and 8th of his career. Toews played his first game in Chicago since signing with Winnipeg on July 1st. The 37-year-old played for the Blackhawks for 15 seasons, winning 3 Stanley Cup titles. Toews was cheered on all night long in his return to his first NHL home. The Blackhawks showed a video of Toews' highlights in the first period, and the crowd of 19,894 responded with a long standing ovation. Connor Hellebuck made 22 saves for Winnipeg, which dropped to 5-11-5 in its last 21 games. The Jets went 0-2 on the power play. Chicago played without forwards Teuvo Teravainen and Andre Burakovsky. Teravainen missed his third straight game with an upper body injury, and Burakovsky was scratched with an illness. Chicago jumped out in front on Dickinson's sixth goal. Dickinson settled a lofted pass from Ryan Donato and beat Hellebuck with 13 minutes and 21 seconds into the second period. The Blackhawks had another prime scoring opportunity late in the second, but Bedard was robbed by Hellebuck on a sprawling glove save. The Jets open a 3-game homestand Tuesday night against St. Louis. The Blackhawks visit Carolina on Thursday night. Fernando Mendoza lowered his pads into a defender, spun in a full circle, and used his hand to keep his balance, then launched himself horizontally and reached the ball over the goal line, an Indiana Hoosiers touchdown and a ready-made poster pick for a title run straight from the movies. The Heisman Trophy winners' touchdown Monday night put an exclamation point on a 27-21 win over Miami that closed out an undefeated season and brought an improbable national championship to a program that had known nothing but losing and indifference for almost 140 years. Head coach Curt Cignetti, the 64-year-old coaching lifer, started it. Mendoza helped get the Hoosiers over the line. He finished with 186 yards passing, but it was that tackle-breaking, sprawled-out 12-yard touchdown run on 4th and 4 with 9 minutes and 18 seconds left that defined this game and the Hoosiers' season. Mendoza's touchdown gave Indiana a 24-14 lead, barely enough breathing room to hold off a frenzied charge by the hard-hitting Hurricanes, a team that barely made the college football playoff and barely showed up in the first half of the final before coming to life behind 112 yards and 2 scores from Mark Fletcher. Indiana finished 16-0, using the extra games afforded by the expanded 12-game playoff to match a perfect season win total last compiled by Yale in 1894. 2 fourth-down gambles by Cignetti in the fourth quarter after Fletcher's second touchdown carved the Hurricanes' deficit to 3. Put the quarterback in position to shine. The first was a 19-yard completion to Charlie Becker on a back shoulder fade. Those guys have been perfecting all season. 4 plays later came a decision and play that wins championships. Cignetti sent his kicker out on 4th and 4 from the 12, but quickly called a second timeout. The team huddled on the field, and the coach drew up a quarterback draw, hoping the Hurricanes would be in a defense that they had shown before. For Miami, it was a very close call. A team listed 18th in the first college football playoff rankings moved to 10th and sneaked into the playoff, bringing as many questions about the process as the selection itself. The Hurricanes proved they belonged all the way. Fletcher was a one-man force hitting triple digits for the third time in 4 playoff games and turning a moribund offense into something much more. His first touchdown was a 57-yard run burst through the right side that pulled Miami within 10-7 early in the third quarter. But after forcing an Indiana punt deep into Miami territory, Hoosiers lineman Mikhail Kamara slid past the Canes protectors and blocked the kick. Isaiah Jones recovered to make it 17-7. Miami was in comeback mode the rest of the way. It ended as a one-score game, and the Canes, the visiting team playing on their home field, moved to Indiana territory before Carson Beck's heave got picked off by Jamari Sharp. Taking a look at scores from around the NBA last night, the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Atlanta Hawks 112-110. The OKC Thunder defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers 136-104. The LA Clippers beat the Washington Wizards 110-106, while the Dallas Mavericks with a big win over the New York Knicks 114-97. The San Antonio Spurs beat the Utah Jazz 123-110, while the Indiana Pacers fell to the Philadelphia 76ers 113-104. The Phoenix Suns beat down the Brooklyn Nets 126-117, while the Detroit Pistons beat the Boston Celtics 104-103. Golden State beat Miami 135-112. From around the NHL last night, the Carolina Hurricanes beat the Buffalo Sabres 2-1, while the Colorado Avalanche beat the Washington Capitals 5-2. The Pittsburgh Penguins took down the Seattle Kraken 6-3, while the San Jose Sharks beat the Florida Panthers 4-1. The Minnesota Wild beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 6-3, while the Las Vegas Golden Knights fell to the Philadelphia Flyers 2-1. The New Jersey Devils took down the Calgary Flames 2-1, while the New York Islanders beat the Vancouver Canucks 4-3. The Anaheim Ducks took down the New York Rangers 5-3. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.